Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond.
Thank you, Madam Senator. As much as possible, the ones who have not been retained have been the ones who are near the retirement age. But if there are others who do not fit and maybe cannot be held, because you cannot expect a company to just keep somebody and that person is not productive, because then you go back to the same cycle of failed organizations. They are being paid their full pension, they are being paid their salaries, they're actually being paid money to cover up for the amount of time they are supposed to have worked. So, you know, in lieu of their work time. So, for example, if you are released at the age of 40 and you are supposed to work up to the age of 15, you're compensated for the time that you have been let go. So it's basically you're being paid in advance for work that you'll not do. So we had already factored that in part of the agreement to make sure that nobody is let out and then they wallow into poverty. So at times it is unfortunate that some people will get out, get the golden handshake, marry a second and third wife, a fourth wife, buy a big car, or go on holiday, as happens all over the country, and so they squander the money very quickly. One of the processes that we have done is, in terms of reskilling, is allowing some of these people who are out there who would like to come back to NITA and the TVETs to get new skills and get back to work. But they were not set out with nothing. They were let out with enough money to be able to live comfortably. I submit.
Senator Boni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the minister knows that the cabinet sat and made a decision on privatization. However, this was varied to leasing. Minister, since you sit in cabinet, why did you take the initiative to carry out a socio-economic impact assessment? You have now visited our people, families running into millions of Kenyans with challenges that must be addressed by the government. Why didn't you take the initiative?
Senator for Nairobi City County.
Speaker, I used to hear this thing called all-of-government approach shouted from podiums. I'm surprised that the CS in his response is actually telling us that we directed the questions to the wrong ministry, that we should have looked for the CS for Treasury, who were involved directly. Because he sits in cabinet, I think he should supply some of the answers to the questions that we are raising. CS, you have a responsibility as a government to protect your people, to find employment for them. And those that you found in employment, to try and sustain them in employment for as long as possible, because they are breadwinners for their families. When you allow private entities, such as these lessees, to be the ones to exclusively determine who they need to continue working or not, you are abdicating your responsibility. How is it possible, CS, that the government has no role whatsoever in making those determinations in order to protect its own people? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator for Tana River County, the Honorable Mungatana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, listening to the minister, he gave a figure of 1,743 people affected in these redundancies. And the senator who was asking this question was specific about Chemilil, Muhoroni, and Miwani sugar companies. Mr. Speaker, what this Senate wants to know is whether there was full compliance of Section 40 of the Employment Act. It appears to me that this minister was giving us big figures, 1 billion, whatnot, but he's not telling us whether there was full compliance. In fact, Mr. Speaker, he's saying that there might be future payments. So the first issue is whether there was actual full compliance. The people who are let to go, 1,000, those are a lot of people. How many were actually paid? Mr. Speaker, you know, just complementary to that, of this minister to get those people reabsorbed into employment. Mr. Speaker, we need to be proactive as a government. You can't let more than 1,000 people unemployed, and then you are not giving. Don't give us figures. Tell us whether you have actually settled those people, because it's there. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator for Taita Taveta County, Senator Maruma.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. CS would want to know if the employees would be paid before they leave, and how much it would be, or they would be paid after. In fact, the CS should give us a list of how much each will get, because he has indicated that if you are 30 years and you're supposed to work maybe up to 60 years, then you'll be paid for the rest of the time that you're supposed to work. So how much will each person get as severance allowance? Number two, if they're not paid before they leave, we have an instance where medical workers were eased off in 2000. Up to now, they have not received their severance allowance. I know some of them have died. Some of them are sickly now. They are quite old. An auntie of mine was working for Ministry of Health. Up to now, they have not been paid. So we want to know how much each would earn, when they would be paid, and in fact, they should enjoy their salaries before they are eased off, or and when they get their lump sum, that is the time when they can be let to go. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator for Nandi County, the Honorable Chiranke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'm surprised by the response of the CS Mutua, because Chemelil is part of Nandi County. And from his response, Mr. Speaker, I need clarity. He indicates that only representatives of, Mr. Speaker, if you can indulge me, representatives of Kisumu, Migori, yet Nandi and Kericho, which is part of Chemelil, has not been captured. So can you clarify? And then, Mr. Speaker, we are coming to the tail end of leasing process. What is the fate of unpaid 15 billion and 3 billion consecutively that are supposed to be paid to workers? Are they left to the dogs, Mr. Speaker? Can you clarify on that? I yield.
Senator for Kitui County, the Honorable Kombo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, very interesting responses. Interesting because, Mr. Speaker, in the words of the CS, the government clearly has just let workers be dealt with by private investors in determining who continues to work and who has got to go home. But, Speaker, most importantly, the question that I have for the CS, after a determination has been made of who is going to leave and who is going to be retained, whose responsibility will it be to pay the gratuities and the benefits and to ensure that those payments, Mr. Speaker, are paid in time? Because there is a gray area there. Who exactly is it that will ensure that these gratuities and the benefits are paid in time to the workers that will have to be let go? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mbugua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would want the Cabinet Secretary to tell this House the level of involvement of the workers' union in this engagement, and also the involvement of the respective county governments, because this is a matter which affects the people in those counties. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may now proceed to respond to those questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and thank you, members, for those very good questions. It is important to note, going for the first question about non-retained staff and the question about their salaries and the community. Oh no, I answered that one. Sorry, Senator Boni Alwale is asking about the socio-economic study that was done. When the paper came to cabinet, yes, a study had already been done on the impact of the industry and revival. And the socio-economic study is not just an economic study of when Treasury presented and agriculture, of just the people who are hired and who maybe would lose their jobs or earn their jobs. It was a study of the general impact of the country and of the region. Because you're talking about a sector that was basically crippled. We're talking about reviving a sector, creating wealth, you know, so that majority of people, parents who had given up, farmers who had given up, could now go back to growing sugar and making money. It was going to even inject money into the national, kitty to assist in the development of the country. So yes, there's a lot of thinking that went into it, and how do we revive this? Will it just be business as usual, government pumping money and nothing happening? Or do we need to, think out of the box to revive this one and make it a working system? And as you're aware, citizens and of the areas where they've been affected by where the changes are happening are very happy with the government, because at last, they used to think there was a light, at the end of the tunnel. It's no longer a light, it's a glowing sun, and they're able to reap benefits. There's a question that was asked by a senator from Nairobi about, yes, it's a whole of government approach, definitely. It's important to note this, because I've seen it being repeated severally. It's important to note that, and I think some members may have walked in just after I did my introduction, so they were not aware of this. It's not everyone who is being sent home. According to an agreement between the workers and the government, only 20% is the maximum number of people to be sent home. As I have indicated, even one of the companies that bought one of the factories did not send home anybody. They rehired everybody who wanted to be rehired 100%. So the agreement has been, you come in as an investor, you are only allowed to send home 20%, so that also you can also retain people and also have a chance to employ people who can be of valuable to your work. But then we also say that anybody who is not being retained, and even the ones who are working, continue working, will be paid by the government of Kenya all their redundancies that they have not been paid for many years. Some of them have not been paid for years. They are living on borrowed money. They will be paid all their monies. They will be paid all their dues. The ones who are going away will even be paid for work that they should have been doing, but now they'll not be doing because they've been sent out. So that brings me to the third question by Honorable Mungatana, talking about the 1,743 affected. These are the total number of people who are employed, but it's only 80% of them who will be affected, who will be retained, and only 20% will be affected, if I have my figures right. Let me look at the statistics. Sorry, yeah. The ones of the Kisumu County, is 1,743, with a breakdown of the workers that have been there of all the three companies. But the point that we're making is this, is that all of the ones that are being sent home or not being retained, they are all being paid their dues, and they're all being paid in lieu of service as per their contracts. If you're permanent and pensionable, you are being paid for the time that you are supposed to work. If you retire, if you're sent home at the age of 30, you're pensionable, you're compensated for the 25 years that you should have been working to your retirement. If you're on contract, up to the period of your contract. We have been assured that human rights and that workers' rights are followed. This takes me to, I don't have the figures of the number of people who are totally reabsorbed, but I can provide that to Senator Mungatana, with your permission, Senator Speaker. My very good friend, the Senator for Taveta County, asked about the ones who for a long time have not been paid and on leave and on and all this. The payments will be paid on a phased program. It's already been agreed between the workers' union and the government. And the people who are paying is the government of Kenya paying. The government of Kenya has committed, and I gave the figures here, that we have committed, we've already paid 1.8 billion shillings, and this year we are hoping to pay another 3.8 billion. So we are paying everything in installments up to 15 billion shillings. That is our commitment. And the 15 billion shillings will be able to cover up all the costs to pay off all these workers and ensure that they are comfortable. Thank you very much, my good friend Senator Chirangai, from the question about Chimilil. The answers I was giving were specific, but they apply to everything. They are specific to the 3 Kisumu, the counties, the 3 companies in Kisumu County. The Center for Kitui asked about these private investors coming in. And it's important to know that the government of Kenya has midwifed this process. And the union, the Kenya Union of Sugar Plantations, has been the one that has been speaking on behalf of the workers. And they were able to sit down and agree comprehensively that they are happy with the process, and they actually penned an MOU. And I can provide a copy of the MOU, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, so that members can be able to look at it and find that this was an agreed position. I think I have answered any that has yet to be answered. It's because it's been answered while answering the other questions. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, we will terminate that engagement at that point. We will, Honorable CS, you may leave at your own pleasure. We will now move to question number 098, 103, and 117. These 3 questions are directed to the CS in charge of health. Clerk, you may usher in the minister, the CS in charge of health, please.